Recently, I had a coach from Nolan Consulting Group reach out and talk to me about creating an application for business strategy and planning. And prior to the conversation, I asked Andrew, hey, do you mind if I record this conversation? Because I get asked all the time about people wanting to build apps for different things. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is leveraging no-code or low-code tools to speed up the development process, especially when you're in the stage of iterating or trying to figure out if it makes sense to invest more serious dollars into the development of an app. So this conversation is between me and Andrew, who's a coach from Nolan Consulting. If you don't know, Nolan Consulting is a painting mastermind. They're a consulting group that works specifically with home service businesses. A lot of their clients are painting. They also work with some other landscapers, movers, roofing companies, things like that. But they have amazing business processes on how to scale and manage your team as you grow your business. And so this conversation I had with Andrew, I thought was just really interesting from this idea of like, how do I start testing and seeing if there's something here or not? And I kind of walked through, if I was in his shoes, what I would do to try and validate whether or not this business strategy planning app was something that was worthwhile. Let me know in the comments if you have other questions, or if you want to discuss an app like this that you're interested in building. I'm always happy to hop onto a call and do another conversation similar to this. So enjoy, and we'll see you in the next video.
Assertion that the number of apps is going to grow exponentially because of AI and writing functions, making code easier, making coding easier, which I've already seen a couple commercials for Watson, IBM's Watson, finishing code or code suggestions.
Yep. Are you personally a coder or developer at all?
No.
Yeah. So I would say, have you dabbled with no code tools?
Dabbled.
Yeah. So I just started reading a book, and
the last time I built a website, I used Expression Engine,
okay,
which had a lot of what's it called, WYSIWYG stuff.
Okay. I've never even heard of that.
It's so old. It's on the level of probably WordPress.
Okay, yeah. Because there's this book called No Code, Low Code, or Low Code, No Code. I should actually double check the title, by Phil Simon. And let me double check what it's titled. Low Code, No Code by Phil Simon. And this was a recommendation from another YouTuber that I've met that's in the automation space. And he said this is like his number one recommended reading for people. And the first chapter is from the founder of GitHub. And it says, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but his quote is, "The future of coding is no coding at all." And I was like, that's an interesting statement. But I can already see what, like, you understand. I feel like if the deeper you get into this stuff, it's like, yeah, you can make apps that are full on web applications without developers, and an end user would have no idea that a person that has no idea how to code made it, and it looks and functions exactly like an app that 10 years ago you would have had to spend $300,000 for developers, so yes, I do think there's going to be many more apps. And I would also say the definition of what could be counted as an app, or like the requirements, like how big of an app is an app. I think there's going to be a lot of these micro apps that solve like very niche things that are, for all intents and purposes, you just built an application. You just built some, that's like the idea of like an application is only QuickBooks or, Paint Scout or some like bar of like, it has to be a certain level of complexity. An app can be literally like, when I win a job, send postcards to 20 houses nearby. You just built an app, so yeah.
So what I'm thinking is we write business plans, and I know we're recording, so maybe you can cut this part out, but it seems absolutely stupid to me
to write business plans,
emailing Word documents back and forth to each other.
Oh, that's insane.
This
You
is
like literal
stupid.
like in via email, and then you got version problems and stuff.
So we've been searching out apps for this. Rhythm is one. Bloom Growth is another one. The field, there's tons of them out there. Just go to the iPhone, go to the Apple App Store, and just search strategic planning, and you'll come up with all kinds of apps. The field narrows when you apply a Jim Collins style planning, goal based planning that we
Mm,
do. But I want to build our own app.
yeah,
I don't understand why we can't do this. And the ones that we find are massively overcomplicated
yeah.
for what we would do. They're built for the ones that are really good are built for large companies that have people just doing this.
Yeah. What are, so that's the, because I have so many things I want to jump into, but I would say for the broader context of the conversation today, is there any other things besides that that's like this idea that's sparking in the back of your mind?
Oh, there's scope creep all over the place. There's so many things that this could lead to just from a management consulting standpoint. So vision. So again, using Jim Collins, right? Good to great,
Yep.
and all
Yep.
that. So his methodology for planning, vision, core purpose, core
Mm,
values, core customer, non-negotiables, the whole thing all the way down to big rocks and big rock planning. And that's just surface level. And then assigning, having tasks, creating milestones, assigning those tasks,
mm,
attachments. And that's just big rocks. And then there's meetings and a widget for meeting agendas and a place to take notes. So it's everything that we email back and forth to each other.
yeah.
But it's just stupid. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. I would say, so there's so many
And
different,
what was going to cost us $200,000 to make
yeah, it's probably a $20 subscription somewhere.
even 5 years ago, right? Well,
Yeah.
Rhythm is we've they've given us pricing. It's more than that, but
Well, yeah, I guess it depends. To me, what you're saying, this is actually a fantastic. I don't know if I got into this in the other podcast, but what you are touching on is something that I'm pretty passionate about, which is the all in one solution is like what everybody's after. Everyone wants like the app that's going to do
it's a
everything.
terrible idea.
Yeah. And there has to be, I believe, there has to be a handoff from like, what is this thing good at? It's the same thing in business. Theoretically you can be a solopreneur and do everything, but at some point you mature and you have like a specialist that does your accounting and a specialist that does your marketing. Like, yeah, it's every that the idea of like all in one or specialists is everywhere around us, but people keep driving towards I want fewer softwares, I want fewer softwares, I want fewer softwares. And I would argue no, you just want your softwares to talk to each other better, and then you need to have a process of when it like is now no longer in
Well,
this and goes to the next one.
we're totally on the same page. I mean, you finally helped me understand in that podcast relational databases.
Yes. And that's smart
I
sheets
don't
is
know
a
why
nightmare.
I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And then it was like 2 plus 2 finally equaled 4, and it was obvious.
Yeah. And I mean, I wish I could take credit for it, but I've been podcasting for 5 years, and it was literally like, do so many episodes. And I had one guy who was like, let me explain why like smart sheets is the like saddest story in history or whatever. I don't remember how he said it, but basically smart sheets was like way ahead of the game back in early, I can't remember what year they came out. It was like 2005 or 4 or something like that. Early, like right after the .com, hype. They were like super innovative, the spreadsheet based tool, and it was really like they were doing a lot of cool stuff. But and they were miles ahead of any other competitor for a long time. And then Airtable came on the scene, and they were one of the tools that did this relational database thing, and Smartsheets didn't do that. And it's so baked into the way that it's structured that it's exactly like Google Sheets or Excel, where like again in a database of employees or a database of projects or a database of payments, and you want to relate these 5 payments to this
Yeah.
project from this customer, right? Like that's a logical thing
Finally
to do.
understanding what that relational means, that you have
Yes.
a centralized list that's pulling from different things. So if I run a report on employees, it can pull from any sheet because it's the same employees being used across.
Yeah.
So I mean, for some reason I thought relational meant something else. Meant like the data within the data set relates to. So I had the wrong impression of what relational meant.
I
Anyway,
was going to ask you, because you probably hear this often, but this is just some praise for you. The number, like for all the companies that I meet with, I see so often the Andrew spreadsheet of like the reporting. It's all over the place. Talk about an app, that's another app. Literally, it's in a spreadsheet, but that to me it's the same qualifications of an app that like ingest data out and do something with it. That's an app. So
yeah,
to me, I feel like you are the type of person that is poised to just like have a heyday in the coming 10, 15 years with all
I
the
just don't
different
know how to
things.
code. I don't know how
I
to.
know, but that's what I'm saying is that you don't need to code anymore. You just need to start using the right apps, and then you apply your same
That's why I'm here with you.
strategic thinking to be like, because I have coded, but I am like a novice. Like I did a JavaScript a little bit, and I built the Boolean, like the first version of the Boolean software, but I am not like a developer. But have you used Chat GPT much?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So
I'm still sort of sad that I have to. I'm still on the sad side of that. Yes, I did.
okay.
I feel like I cheated.
No, I like brag about it. I use ChatGPT like 10 times a day, like for everything. All the like anything I can think of, I'm like, I wonder what ChatGPT can do. But what I've done recently, there was a super random example of, in fact, I feel like I just want to show this because this is like, to me, this is a fantastic example of how someone who, again, it's like as you're exposed to stuff, you do get better over time and your knowledge and abilities expand. But this I'm hoping that in my history here I still have the so I could just show you the dialogue back and forth.
Yeah.
And you basically, like, I put in, oh, here, I think this is it. Now, this is not the best example, but I do this type of thing all the time, so I'll show you. This is where, like, even in something like Google Sheets, you can now say, like, I was trying to do this one thing where I was combining 24 year to date data with 23 data. And so I just said, like, this was the initial prompt where I was trying to combine these two things together, and then it spits back, here you can do this. So then I copied this and pasted in, and then I was like, that doesn't work. So I just am like back to ChatGPT, like, no, that's not right. And then it was like, oh, you could do an import range or this other thing. And then it gave me a couple options. And maybe this is a
Man,
shorter one. But
that's
like
crazy.
the other thing is the more context that you give it, the better that it does. So
The day my mind exploded again when actually it was well it was before one day it exploded when you helped me understand relational databases. The other day it exploded was when uh, who Luis in Southern California helped me understand what it means to train AI. And so
mm,
I trained AI to be Jerry Seinfeld and then asked it to write something. And it was Jerry Seinfeld. It was like reading a book by Jerry Seinfeld. It was ridiculous.
yeah, it's so here's this is what I was trying to do inside of Airtable. I have this database for I'll show you this too. This is kind of fun. But to me, like, I get super excited about this, and I'm like, I feel like, you know how I think this is good that you brought this up, because you're like, there's kind of some shame in like, wow, this is really good. Did you write this? It's like, nah, ChatGPT
No,
did it.
I
And in a not too long future, it's going to be like, wow, this, like, ChatGPT did great. And they're like, no, I actually wrote that. And they're like, why the hell would you have taken your time to write this? Like, are you an idiot? You know, like, it's literally just like,
I'm ashamed because I used GPT, and then I'm ashamed because I wrote it myself. It's like
it's going to flip flop. Yeah.
it's a no win.
It's like, I'm not paying you to come up with your own original thoughts. Like, ask ChatGPT. It's going to save you, 80% of your time or whatever. But, so this is the random thing that I was wanting to show you. So inside of Airtable for this client, ACP, their Summit member,
Yeah.
they wanted
Yeah.
to have their crew leaders see certain pieces of information that the rest of the the group doesn't see. So we have this thing here to get directions. So I can click get directions, and if you're on your phone, it does this because it knows your location. But it literally is like calculating, and because Arizona is really far away from Idaho, it's going to take me 20 hours and 37 minutes to get there. But like the crew leader from their phone can like see the job, they push a button and
Nice.
get there, right?
Nice.
And this is all in the same singular database that like the raw project data is in, right? But in that same database, you have like if we go back and look at all data, so this again looks very much like a spreadsheet, but in just this row, I have, just like you would see in like a smart sheet thing, I've got all these columns that mean something and they're important for some reason, right? There's some reason that I need to have all this information in here. But it's a pain in the butt if you had to function out of this view, because you spend half your time searching for the property that you need to update. And just like we were talking about, I have a crew leader that's applied to Linda's job. So I can click on this. And now I'm actually seeing this is Adam, who is in the crew leader table of all of Adam's information. And I can see these are all the projects that Adam has been on, that he's been a
Yeah.
leader on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's the
all that,
relational part.
yeah, all that to say, you get that. To me, the part that is uh, just amazing is that Google Maps thing wasn't working. So I went in and I said, and this is where I feel like people overthink like how to use it. Like, oh, I don't know what to ask it. I would say you literally, I put on like the voice to text thing on my Mac, so I just talk. And so this was me talking. I'm using Airtable to make a simple web app. One of the columns is a formula, data type, blah, blah, whatever. How would I need to modify this to make it be dynamic? So I'm asking, and I pasted in the code just straight. That's what I have. And then it's like, here's what you need to do. So
Dude, you
here's
are
the new
kidding
code.
me.
So it
Wow.
outputs the new code. So I copy it, paste it in, and then this one doesn't have it either. There's literally like this one I copied, pasted in, it worked immediately. It was crazy. But there was another one where I was working and I literally kept feeding the error messages back into it. So I like did it in Airtable, and then it was like error, whatever thing is not valid. So I was like, that didn't work. This is the error message I got. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. And then it gives me another version of a code, and I fed the error message back into it, and it was like, oh, okay, sorry, try this now. And so each time it's just like you're giving it real world feedback so that it can make it better. But that to me is again like, if you know enough to be like I don't know if you literally what you said at
Yeah.
the beginning of this call, I was thinking immediately, I'm just going to see if this will let me. I want to create a strategic business planning no code app based on Jim Collins' strategic planning process, period. Can you help outline the core functions that the app would need in order to achieve this for a painting or home service business, period? And also suggest how I might be able to do this inside of a tool like Airtable with a front end no code app as well. So I don't know what this is going to say, but we'll see. So vision and mission statement management, goal setting and tracking, SWOT analysis. And you said right now you guys are doing all this in a Word document?
The first four
The first four of these?
of these are in the Word document, and then the rest are distributed amongst either Smartsheet or other planning, the Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if you've seen the financial spreadsheet.
And is
Um,
this for use for NCG or to help
no,
clients
I
do
want
it
to.
better?
This is our business planning document. I would want to use it with our clients. So I would want
Yeah.
to make an app that takes our business plan and puts it in an app, so it's
Yeah.
shareable.
because there's a couple things. I love Airtable because it's like think of it as just it's a database, and it's a user friendly no code database that I don't have to know SQL to like
So you
program.
like that? You like it better than Smartsheet?
100% because of the relational aspect. It like literally it's like once you have relational databases, it makes VLOOKUPs seem ridiculous, because you have to do VLOOKUPs all day long to go extract the information that you want. Back to this example here, like once you see this, you're like, oh my, like it's crazy. So right here, because I'm linking, let me switch the screen, because I'm linking to Atom, I can go in here and click add lookup fields. So now I can just add any field that's in the people database, just email, QuickBooks, phone, type, whatever I want.
Yeah, you can pull because
And
it's
boom, it's
relational.
all
You can
there.
pull from anyone.
Yeah. So now they're all in
Pipeline. Do you
here.
know? Do you work? I'm sure you have a lot of CRMs, but pipeline deals. Have you worked in pipeline deals at all?
Yep.
You probably have with
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
most of
what
our clients,
Webfoot used when I got there.
but they're similar functions. I don't know if that's a relational program, but that's what I think of when I think the relational database because you can make these reports and pull from any part of the
Yeah. And I would say
system.
most CRMs, well, actually, you're very familiar with relational databases in CRMs because I can associate the object of a person to a deal. That's a relationship. You have a people database, a deal database, and then a company database, and they can all be related. And then this is just Airtable is just a open-ended, like, what do you want it to be? You can do whatever you want. But as far as like my mind immediately goes to like simpler tools that you might be able to get started with or could be better than.
I have three tiers so far. What I've thought of, I have three tiers of product. One is a quick to market version that just gets us out of the email business.
Hmm.
Second is based on the research from the quick to market option is to really hone in some maybe some creative things that only we would have. And then the third is to do something bigger that's based on the first model, the go to market model, and the research, then to build. Most apps after 3 years they do remakes anyway. So
Yeah.
after 3 years, making something more robust. I don't think, at least here, there's a lot of detail oriented people here, so they're not going to be excited about a super basic, quick to market
Yeah.
version just to get people to use it. But I think that's the way we have to do it.
I agree with your philosophy or what you're thinking. I think that there's a couple routes that could be more efficient for it's almost like you don't even need to make the app to start because of some really cool tools like Notion. Have you used Notion before?
Mm-mm. What's that?
So I'll show you. I just am looking up here. I'll share my screen again. We use this. We've gone through so many different task management softwares. I'm trying to think of the list of them. Tried Smart Suite, Asana, Trello, Notion. Notion's the one that my team was pushing hard for, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And I actually think I really like it. And I just looked up goal setting Notion template, and they have a couple different ones here for goal setting and tracking, smart goals tracker.
Yeah,
So
I
we
hear what you're
can,
saying. Not
so
to,
we can,
I think you're probably right, but I've got a specific look and feel and a specific way that I want. Maybe I shouldn't be married to
no,
that
so
sacred
this is
cow.
where I'm saying hold that as like your goal. That's what you want to get to. I'm saying that this could potentially flush out or help you build a framework and see what's missing or what you feel like isn't there because I'll show you this.
Oh, like a
Notion to me,
whiteboarding type thing.
yeah, because it's just helpful to be like, what do I actually want it to do or how? And Notion, my explanation of Notion would be it's a combination of Google Docs, Asana, um, a little bit of Airtable, And then it's got a bunch of automation potential with like Zapier and whatnot. But you
Mm.
can have like, and I'm hesitant to go into any one of these because this is the danger of showing anyone templates that has never used Notion, is that you're immediately going to be like, oh, that's what Notion is. And it's the same thing like with Airtable. You see someone do something in Airtable and then you immediately say, oh, I'm not going to do that. So the Airtable's not for me. And I would say, keep in mind that it's all very flexible in how this is built out or you use it. But you can, in fact, because I haven't looked at this before, I feel like I can go to my SMART goal. No, I'm just going to show you how we use it in our business. So for like weekly agendas, the one thing that is kind of cool, I think, is that Notion is essentially like an internal website, or that's one way that you can use it. So we have like our meetings and we have weekly team meetings. So I can go to my weekly team meetings page and you can modify it however you want. But then I can, like, you can add these little buttons that do different things for you. Like I want to add a new meeting. So it automatically created an agenda for our meeting today that's based on like a template that I always want to use. But now multiple people can be accessing it, writing on it, updating it. And then I can collapse these and I've got my agenda from last time, the time before that. But that's just the beginning of it. It's like, so now I've got a template that I quickly spin up for today's weekly meeting. I could also input, they have these little commands here where you can do,
So
um,
I created an account real quick, and
mhm.
I'm on my personal home. So how would I get to that goal based template?
So search the web for like just like goal tracking or goal setting Notion templates or something. In fact, there might actually be inside of. Uh,
Goal setting Notion template.
oh, there it is on the side, not inside of here. If you see my screen, it's actually on the side here where it says templates. You can click templates and then search for some of those. But what, like, it even has like vision and strategy. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. This is so you can have your mission, vision, values. But the part that gets, this is the part, and it does take some setup. So this is where I would say, to me, you could use Notion as kind of like the no code building block that you're going to create this like masterful template. And it can have layers and it's literally almost like a website. And one of the things that you can add to it is it's called a grid, I believe. And I should add, I am like a month and a half old in my experience
Sure.
with Notion. In fact, I'll show you a totally different thing. I can go to task management just to show you like the different layers of things that you can have in here. This is how we manage tasks for various things, right? So we've got all of our backlog of things of people working on stuff. We can also go to like a board view, like a Kanban, or this is, sorry, a gallery, but we can switch to timeline view where you've got things planned out. Like it has so much stuff in here that to me, again, when you're, the trade off is like you'd have to build out what you want to make it look the way that you want because it's not going to read your mind. But to me, when you look at the cost of this, Notion, I think, is like $10 or something per user. It's extremely inexpensive. And you can have this combination of like meetings, timelines. You can link tasks to other tasks. You can have like, the thing I like about Notion more than another, um, like Asana, for example, if you've ever used Asana,
Hmm.
Asana like forces you into tasks and subtasks. Then you're like, well, what if I want to just write in a Word document? What do I do then? You know?
Yeah.
And the thing that's nice about this is I can have inside of a project here, I'm like, I've got all my fields. I can add a property if I want to have other properties that aren't default. I can assign a created by, I can make another property that's a project owner, when it's due, when it's created. But then if I'm working here and I'm like, oh, I would actually like to have a bunch of like checklist of like things that need to, or to-do list.
Hmm.
So now I can just like be inputting, and now I'm typing like a checklist out,
So
Or I could say
are there Notion people that you
like
could say,
experts in
can you help me
Notion.
design this?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I would say my next step for, because I would say that we are not Notion experts. We're using it for our own purposes. But what my recommendation, have you guys used VAs for anything?
No. What is it again?
Virtual assistant?
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is another massively powerful thing I would highly recommend is online jobs. And Michael Murray is really big into VAs as well. But I honestly like Nolan Consulting as a business. I would say your priority, even above the app, would be like every single one of your coaches should have a VA. Just like that might sound insane, but it's like the ideas and it's not like maybe you don't need an individual
Well, I
VA
guess
for everyone.
that's what we do in house with Sydney and Deidre, and
Yeah,
we're very old fashioned that way.
the difference is that VAs are going to be, I don't know, a third, a fourth of the cost potentially. And the experience level is going to be astronomical. So people can sometimes be afraid of like, I'm not saying you go fire your current assistants. I'm saying find somebody who's an expert in something like Notion. And the way that I would recommend doing that is this tool called, or it's a website called Online Jobs. And I'll show you this, but I could search right now for Notion. And so this person is dynamic. Let's see, Notion builder. I don't even know what to search for in that. Let's do notion.so.
Online Jobs is the website.
Mm-hmm. And so it looks like I thought there was going to be some hits for the specific keyword. Like sometimes if you type in specific apps, you'll see. But I would say these are people that are looking for full time jobs, and you can see the hourly rates here. And these are, I would emphasize again, it's basically like the same thing as Craigslist, but it's specifically for Filipino VAs. So you have to keep in mind that this is not like you can't just pick somebody, hire them, and think it's going to work out. You do the same vetting process and interview process that you would with anyone else, and find someone who's got a ton of expertise in Notion, for example. The other one you could try is like Upwork, um, which is going to be
I've
more
been there.
expensive.
Yeah.
It's more expensive. And the thing that I don't like about Upwork that I like about online jobs is that online jobs, people are actually looking for full time, like they want to be employees somewhere. And so they're not like contractors that are bombarded with 25 requests and you have to, nickel and dime or do a scope every time you want another thing. It's literally just like hire someone who is either a graphic designer or a general assistant or can manage your pipeline, whatever it is. I would say this would be where I would start to interview people and see, can I find someone that understands Notion really well? Because, well, yeah, I feel like I want to also be cautious. Keep in mind that I know you guys do the working genius types there. What are you for your widget?
Me, I'm a GT.
Okay, so mine, I'm a wonder and invention. So it's like I'm like I got ideas for days. Like you want
Oh
ideas,
yeah.
I'll just start spitting out ideas and I'm solving the problem. Finishing it, I'm like, please God, send me somebody that's tenacious that wants to just check stuff off,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's who I have on my team. But for ideas, I'm just like jumping into iterating. Okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? But my back to your, let's take a step back to the bigger picture. You're saying you want to build an app to help people with strategic planning and follow the Jim Collins method and whatnot. My thoughts would be like, even based off of what I just showed you, I immediately would go back to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to do this app. Someone showed me Notion, and I'm not really sure if that's the right one or not. What other no code tools that have, like, you have to think about what are the functions that you need: task management, assigning things, tracking progress. I just think Notion's really powerful because it's basically like this internal website, and you can have users, and then you can do like the Google Doc thing that people like. You can make templates so it's easy to spin up new things. You can link stuff back to others. But the reality is, and this is back to the question at the beginning that you brought up about the apps that are getting developed, like there are so many softwares that get created all the time that like every single week I'm introduced to like 3 new softwares I never knew existed. And so it's on one hand overwhelming. And I also remember I'm seeing like a fraction of 1% of apps that exist. So being good at them and knowledgeable is hard in a massive space, which is why
So
we have gone down
do you
into
think?
just painting. It's like
Yeah.
just trying to
Do you think
understand apps that painting companies are going to want is hard enough.
so? So let's say we go. Let's walk down the path a little bit. Let's see the project. Walk it forward a little bit. So, are you thinking that Notion might turn out to be good enough that we just stay with Notion, or Notion would be a template to build our own app, or is the no code app is Notion? That's what you're saying. Is it that's how this
It's
works?
one, yeah, there or Notion is a no code app. And I would say, like, when you're trying to be, you know, a good steward of money or resources, that's where I'm going to find someone who literally breathes Notion and has used Notion for the last 5 years. And I would look for them on Online Jobs, interview 20 people, find your top 3, do deeper interviews, whatever, you know. That would be step one. Maybe in the process, if they use Notion, they probably use other apps similar to it. Say, this is what I'm wanting to build. Do you have anything else you might recommend? I would say that what you're probably going to find is the beauty of the no code app like Notion is that you can go like click and drag this over here or do this and make it bigger or whatever in 3 seconds. And it might cost you 5 development hours at $85 an hour to do what you just did by moving that. So that's where I would say the structure, like the architecture of any system is the value, in my opinion. Like that's what we do for automation with the painting companies is like anybody can hire a Zapier person on Upwork for 20 bucks an hour or whatever. I don't care. But you're hiring me because I have the architect of I literally have the vision of the whole thing I want to build. That's the hardest part for building an app. Like you can start spending development hours and you're literally just experimenting. So my thought is use an app like Notion to get it loosely laid out. And you might find, wow, Notion actually does way more than I thought. It's super cool. I can make templates, I can interface and do everything that I want. And you might just be happy with that. Or you get to a place where you've got this proof of concept. There are literal barriers that Notion is not capable of. And you start making a list of like, these are the other things I need. Then it's like, can you use Zapier or Make to like maybe that's a handoff where you've gotten Notion to do what it's good at, and now you're doing something else in like the next tool if there is
Yeah.
if that happens.
Mhm.
But I just would say as in order to get the farthest down the line with the least amount of dollars spent to like prove out that you're not wrong, like you are follow the gut of this is insanity to be sending Word docs around. There's a better way. You are 100% right with that feeling. And I would say rather than like engaging in a contract with a developer where you spend thousands of dollars to get to something where you're like, it's not really what I was thinking. It's like you literally have Notion, you play around with it, or even sit down side by side with the VA and be like, how do I make like, I just want to see like a grid. And they're like, boom. You're like, okay, what if we did an assignee field and then, you know, like you just like stream of conscious talk it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say using the VA with Notion and Chat GPT for like, I even use ChatGPT for like help me understand the vocab that I'm supposed to be using. Like I'm trying to build a
Wow.
no code app. What are the terms and the definitions that I need to know to be able to coherently talk to someone that does this for a living? And then it tells you what they are, you know?
That's
Um,
incredible.
yeah. So it's
I
that type
wouldn't
of
have thought
stuff
of
is
that.
like,
I don't know that
yeah,
I would have thought of that.
there's a
But I
guy.
totally get it. I like.
Yeah. There's a guy. And I'm just looking, I have a meeting in 2 minutes. Let's see if I'll keep
Yeah,
talking until he
I'm
shows
coming
up.
up on a hard stop as well.
Um, I'm just going to join the meeting, and if he comes in, I will bail. Um, So I've got maybe 30 or 60 seconds bonus. I would say, there's this guy, Hap Klopp. He just did a TEDx talk in Spokane, and I saw him a couple months ago. He was the founder of North Face, and he's like 80 something years old now. Out of the 11 speakers that were at this thing, this TEDx thing, he was one of 2 that spoke about AI. And I was just like, isn't that amazing that this 80 something year old who's an entrepreneur is like telling us what AI is going to do? And I won't get into what he said, but it was a very interesting thought of like how AI is going to be like an assistant to help direct and tell us what we should learn. And he's like, AI is going to be able to tell you what things you should be studying for jobs that you're going to work in that don't even exist yet. Like it's going to be able to do that type of stuff for you.
Damn.
So I'll send you a couple links. The other thing I'll send you is a YouTube video that my wife and I made of our VA hiring process. So it's like literally like go to Online Jobs. Here's how you write the description. Here's how I recommend doing your first interview, second interviews, and so on. But I would say, I think I told Molly about this like a while ago. Nolan Consulting needs to get one VA, and maybe you're the guy to hire it, and just try it for 3 months. Know that you might make a bad hire and you got to get a different one, just like a regular employee. But you have to treat it just with like clear expectations, a role vision, all the descriptions of what you're expecting. How are we going to communicate? How often do we communicate? All that stuff. And then they get better because you're training them just like you would train Sydney and everyone else on your team. And now they're like this rock star that you'd have to pay $85 an hour for an equivalent American.
What does your intuition say we should be having them do?
Everything that we're talking about right now. Like,
Okay.
and like I would literally outsource everything that you can, and you just be the director.
Yeah. All right. We're on the same page. Okay. All right, cool. I know you got to run.
All right.
I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Remember, if you're a painter, this channel is for you. We make content every day specifically geared towards painting companies and painting business owners. So if you are trying to make a more efficient, well-run business, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, because that's what we're here to do. Our mission at Boolean is to free you up to do what you love. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.